Welcome, welcome everybody. Greg Peterson from the Urban Farm Fruit Tree Program, and I'm here with Miss Janis.
Hello, I'm Janis, and I'm here with Greg Peterson. I am coming to you from Peoria, Arizona, in my little neck of the woods. This is my little woods here.
And we have something exciting happening in 2 weeks. We have the Great American Seed Up happening. Dennis, you might want to drive up from Rocky Point and check it out. It's amazing. Carrie, you might want to come in from San Diego.
Yeah, the Seed Up has been something that we were doing consistently until COVID hit. We stopped doing the Seed Up and we started doing the Seed Up in a box, but we were able to come back to doing the Seed Up. So here we are. It is another great adventure.
Imagine a 8,000 square foot room filled with over 100, well, probably 90 different varieties of open pollinated seeds that you can just scoop to your heart's content, and they're cheap, inexpensive, not cheap. They're inexpensive. So check it out. Great
They're
American
priceless.
Seed Up. There you go. GreatAmericanSeedUp.org.
I'm in the process of making the seed card. I got my little notes for how I'm making some changes and updating the sheet, and we will be ready to go for November 4th, 5th. GreatAmericanSeedUp.org. You can choose Friday evening or Saturday day. And if you want to be on staff, if you want to be one of the volunteers, reach out to me at Janis@urbanfarm.org and we can get you connected.
There you go.
All right.
Let's get on with it.
Yay. It's all you, sir.
I think I know that. All right. So this is the class. All right. This is the class that I've been giving for over 15 years, and I tweak it and change it a little bit, but this is the things that you need to know before you buy your fruit trees. Because do you know that you can go into most nurseries in every big box store?
Anywhere. Anywhere. I know you are.
I've seen it here in North Carolina as well. But you can go into any big box store and most nurseries, and for sure in the Phoenix area, and they will sell you a fruit tree or food that will never make food. And often they know it, and it just pissed me off. That's a big part of the reason I started this program 23 years ago.
It's because they're willing to sell a plant, and if the plant lives, then they've actually, done what they think if the plant lives, it can grow and live for 20 years.
There you go.
But that's not why you wanted it. You wanted it because you wanted the fruit.
Exactly. And you said 20 years. I had a peach tree that I bought in 1991 from Price Club, which is now Costco. And in 20 years, it never made fruit. I finally took it out. It was the wrong dang peach. It was a beautiful tree. It grew like mad. So we're going to talk tonight about those pitfalls so that you know what you need to know before you actually buy a tree.
Mm-hmm. What to ask.
What to ask, exactly. So here we go. All right. My favorite thing to plant and grow is a fruit tree. Why? Because you plant it once and you harvest food for decades. This is me. And go ahead, Janis.
Your glasses haven't changed much.
There you go. This is me in 1975 when I planted my first fruit trees at the Weldon House, 2827 East Weldon in Phoenix. Mom looked at me funny when I said I wanted to plant fruit trees. I planted a peach, an apricot, and a plum at the Weldon House. And by 1979, I had so much fruit, I didn't know what to do with it. I said to a buddy of mine, I really want to know how to learn. I want to learn how to can. And he said, my mom can teach you how to can. So I learned how to can from Tim's mom. I don't even know her name, except she was Tim's mom. So, and the other thing is that, so deciduous trees, here's a piece of data for the low desert. Deciduous trees, those are trees that lose their leaves in the winter. And I'm specifically talking about apples, peaches, apricots, and plums. If you get 25 years out of them, you're doing really good. Pomegranates and figs and olives and grapes last a lot longer than that. But those main trees, they'll last you about 25 years. The 2 citrus trees that I had growing in the back of the urban farm property when I was living there were over 100 years old. Just saying, if you treat them right, you can get a lot of lifetime out of them. So there you go.
And
All right.
hopefully, if you're looking to plant a tree that is growing fruit that you're not finding at year 20 years in, that they're not actually giving you fruit. That's what we're hoping for.
Right, exactly. So if you plant the right trees, in 3 years, you should have food.
Some, for
Oh,
sure.
yeah, I remember what I was going to say. The other thing I was going to say is if you want to just skip all of this, you can, go have a beer and skip all of this tonight. If you just get fruit trees from our program,
We've done the work for you.
we've done the work for you. So
If you're in the local Phoenix area and you're looking to grow trees and you're like a 1, 2, or 3rd year into growing trees, we've done it for you.
yeah,
That's what that's what our program's for.
yeah. So, and the trees we have are just amazing. In fact, Jolene is one of our friends who has turned her backyard into an amazing food forest. She calls the desert gold peach a bend over peach because you have to bend over to eat it, otherwise it splashes down the front of you. All right, so what is the true cost of a tree? Because it's not just the tree. You can get a tree, stick it in the ground, cross your fingers, and I would say you have less than a 50% chance that it's going to actually live and thrive. So when we're looking at the true cost of a tree, we need to look at the tree, the water, the fertilizer, the time, the hope, the supplements, everything that you need to know to make sure that that tree thrives. And we've done that for you. I have been planting trees, like I said, since 1975. I got serious planting trees as an adult in 1989 when I bought the urban farm and started the fruit tree program 10 years later in 1999. We know what we're doing. We know how to make trees thrive. Just do what we tell you to do. And the thing is that your fruit tree, the cost of your fruit tree isn't your only cost financially. Expect to spend at least as much the first year on supplements and soils and that kind of stuff to make that tree thrive. Just I tell that. Go ahead.
Yeah, that'll get you to the level that we are encouraging for our guarantee. You definitely need to invest about the same amount as the tree back into extras to go along with it.
Yeah. So, and if you just want to get trees from us, we know what we're talking about. You do what we tell you to do. In 3 years, you can get fruit. You will get fruit. And we have a whole program by which you can, if the tree's struggling, send me a picture or send Janis a picture and we'll help you figure out what's going on with it. The experimenting part. I am fine with people experimenting with trees like persimmons. I get a lot of requests for persimmons. We don't bring them in. They don't thrive. And knowing that you're experimenting is really important. Because if you go into a nursery and buy a tree and hope that you're going to get fruit, not thinking you're experimenting, it's like, is it worth the time, the hope, the fertilizer, the water, the tree, if you're not sure?
And
if you buy trees from our program, you can be pretty sure that in 3 years, you're going to get a nice, abundant amount of fruit. Go, Janis.
And if you are interested in experimenting in trees, by going through our program, by learning how to care for your tree, by the year 3 or 4, you will have learned enough from us so that you can start making educated choices for your experimentation. You will have developed a space that will give you the opportunity to make the proper choices. So you're not going to be going in and investing in an experimented tree and then come back to it later and go, oh, I wish I hadn't done that. I wish I hadn't wasted that time and that energy and that money. We're going to help you get ready to be able to do that.
Exactly.
If you want it, go through our program. By the time you're done with 3-4 years with us, you'll be ready for it.
Yep.
To make that
Amen
decision.
That. So why some trees don't produce like rock stars? I'm going to talk to you about the things you need to know here in a minute, but trees that I would avoid. Pears, highly susceptible to fire blight. They
Trees
don't
that you would avoid in the Phoenix area.
in the Phoenix area. Thank you. In the low desert. I'm specifically talking low desert now. Pears, fire blight. Avocados don't like the heat. Every avocado I've ever seen planted has died. Cherries last about 3 years and then die. If people have those for you, I would turn around and walk away. Unless you are super committed and are interested in getting, the pear tree I had growing in the front yard of the urban farm grew there for 15 years, and I'd get, did okay. And I get 15 pears off of it a year. Is that worth it? And
See,
it
that would
struggled
be
with
the
it struggled-
experimentation stage.
Exactly. Those are three that I would just avoid.
Now, for those of you who are outside of the Phoenix area, sorry, Greg, I jumped in on you there.
Mhm.
For those of you who are outside of the Phoenix area, what we're talking about now is knowing the varieties and the types of fruits that will struggle in your area. And we just
Mhm.
listed the ones that are going to struggle for the Phoenix area.
Exactly. Awesome. Thank you. All right. So we're going to take a step back. This is three things you need to know no matter where you are.
Mhm.
Chill hours. We get approximately, used to say 350, I say 300 hours of chill. And your stone fruit, that's anything with a pit in it, and apples need a certain amount of chill hours in order to set fruit. So I was at a Home Depot recently in Phoenix, and there was I don't know, a Granny Smith apple, and I looked up the chill hours because I didn't know the variety for Phoenix, and I looked up the chill hours in Home Depot, and I'm saying it that way on purpose to be funny, and it was like 700 hours of chill. It will never make fruit. So know your chill hours in your area. In Maricopa County, in the low desert, we get about 300 hours of chill. That means you need trees that require less than 300 hours of chill to set fruit. That's thing number one you need to know.
Before you go to that, why don't you tell them what a chill hour is?
Very good. Thank you. Chill hours are anything under about 40 degrees. I've heard anything anywhere from 38 to 42 degrees, and it starts as soon as it gets chilly. So mid-November, you'll start getting chill hours accumulating, going through till February when the thing blooms out.
Now, I've heard that the way they calculate chill hours means that you need to have a certain number of hours in a night, like 4 or 5 hours in a night, before all of those hours are counted. And because it needs a level, a time frame of being cold to trigger some stuff that happens inside the trees. And those chill hours are different for the different varieties. So if you find a tree that has high chill hours, you need to be in a colder area.
Amen. And one of the things you can do is you can strip the leaves off early. So by mid-November, if there's still trees on your leaves on your tree, go ahead and shake them off, strip them off. That won't hurt the tree. Save them for next year for mulch.
Defoliating will help.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That, by the way, is the desert gold peach, the perfectly pruned peach in the front yard at the urban farm. All right. Second thing you need to know is about rootstocks. Rootstocks are fruit trees are grafted onto a rootstock, and rootstocks typically do really well in an area. So I was recently on Peaceful Valley's website looking at their trees because they also sell Dave Wilson trees, and looking for varieties that would actually grow in the low desert on correct rootstock, and there weren't any. So if you're buying stone fruit or apples from a source, you need to make sure that the rootstock works where you live. I'm not going to go into all the different kind of rootstocks that work well in the desert, but just know, first of all, get your trees from us because we're on the right rootstock. But know that if you're buying fruit trees, they have to be on a specific rootstock for your area. That's the problem with the cherries in the low desert, is that there's not a rootstock that will support them for multiple years.
For those of you who don't know what a rootstock is a specific tree that is grown and they cut the top off and then they put the top of another tree onto this rootstock because the roots of the rootstock are capable of growing in the soil of the area that we're talking about. So in the low desert, we want something that's going to work with our particularly high pH or our very acidic soil, sorry, low pH, and our calcium and levels and everything else. In another area, you're going to have different elements that you're going to be working with, but that is a different tree. It will provide a different fruit if you let it grow, and it's not something you usually want.
Right. The rootstocks, and the rootstocks can take over the tree. So you need
if
to
you
be
don't
careful
take
about
care
that.
of it. Yeah.
So those rootstocks. Here's the third thing you need to know. Make sure that you're getting a climate appropriate tree. For the Phoenix metropolitan area, these are trees that ripen and the fruit is ripe and off the tree by July 1st. I have found, and I have tried dozens and dozens of different kind of trees in the Phoenix metro area over the 40 years that I grew trees in Phoenix. I tried persimmons. I tried avocados. I tried stone fruit that would ripen in the fall. I tried late season apples. I tried them all. And what I have found is that the soft flesh fruit, apples, peaches, apricots, plums, grapes, berries, all that kind of stuff, they have to be ripen off of the tree by July 1st. Otherwise, they cook on the tree. Just saying. So know that. On the other side of this picture, early season blooming and ripening trees aren't going to work here in North Carolina. So I placed an order for our farm here in North Carolina that I'm going to be getting in January from Dave Wilson. But I've picked trees that bloom in May and make fruit in September, October. So
that's important because the bloom needs to happen at a season where the flower is not going to get too cold.
Yep.
So that's why you can't go too early. And the fruit has to be at this time where it's not going to get too hot. So that's why for the low desert, we need it. So the fruit will be off before they cook.
Amen. Hey, excellent. So in urban orcharding, hold on, did I got all that? Ripening times, climate appropriate trees. Yep. Let me look here. No. All right. So we're going to talk about urban orcharding. I thought there was another slide here. I think it's coming up though. It's really all about keeping the trees short. When we keep apples, peaches, apricots, plums short, it's easy to put tulle over them rather than bird netting. Never, never, never use bird netting. You want to use tulle, T-U-L-L-E, and you can completely wrap the tree in tulle. It's the stuff they make tutus out of. And so by keeping the trees small, they're pickable by standing on the ground. They're easy to manage. And the biggest thing in keeping them small is that in the same footprint, so those trees in the background, I think those were pecan trees in the background on this picture. Those are huge trees, and peach trees can easily get to 30 feet tall and 25 feet wide. In that same footprint, we can put in a 6 or 8 or 10 small trees so that we can do successive ripening. Successive ripening are fruits that ripen at different times. So the desert gold peach ripens in the low desert. It ripens in mid-May. The tropic snow and the Swaze swirl ripen beginning to mid-June, and the mid-pride peach ripens at the end of June. So all of a sudden we can get 6, 8, 10 weeks of peaches rather than if we have a desert gold peach that's 30 feet tall, we can, you get so many peaches, you don't know what to do with them all. So that's what we call successive ripening. And then, so in urban orcharding, there's several methods to grow. This is a hedgerow. If you ever made it to the urban farm, you saw my hedgerow and citrus all along the street. If you're going to go with the hedgerow, planting distance on them, a good planting distance for a hedgerow is 5 to 6 feet. And that's whether you're planting mulberries or citrus or apples or peaches, the stone fruit. 5 to 6 feet is a good distance from trunk to trunk. If you want to walk between a tree, 12 to 14 feet from trunk to trunk is better. For small spaces, we have this concept called multiple trees in one hole, where you actually dig a larger hole. It's usually in a triangle. And rather than a 2 by 2 by 2, I'm sorry, a 2 by 2 by 1 tree hole, you would dig 3 of those in a triangle and plant your trees that way. And then what happens is you plant them 18 inches to 2 feet apart. What happens is as they grow out, they fill up the space. They look like one tree, but what you have there in reality is 3 different varieties. So you could go with the desert gold, the tropic snow, and the mid-pride peach, so that you get your successive ripening in a small space. And people often ask me about multi-grafted trees, the cocktail trees. Problem with cocktail trees is that often what happens, so if you have a citrus cocktail tree with a lemon, a lime, and an orange on it, invariably, if you're not out there managing that tree every month, the lemon will take over. And within 5 years, you're going to have a lemon tree, and the other 2 are going to be overgrown. Plus, multi-grafted trees are very expensive. They're typically 2.5 to 5 times the cost of a single grafted tree. So just saying, for the same price, you can get 3 trees that are easier to manage. This is the slide that I was looking for earlier. Here's a few more things that you need to know for fruit tree success. Fruiting viability. One of my neighbors about 10 years ago came to me and I said, I bought a pomegranate at one of the local nurseries, of which if you live in Phoenix and I said this nursery name, you would know it. And it makes these pomegranates that are the size of a quarter. Turns out it was a decorative pomegranate.
Can you imagine trying to peel that to eat the little seeds?
Yeah, exactly. Well, there was nothing there.
Right?
There's nothing there. They were wanting a pomegranate that made food, and what they got was a decorative one. So make sure that your trees are viable for fruit. Self-fruitful versus non-self-fruitful. I get this question all the time. Most of the trees that we sell are self-fruitful. That means if you plant one tree, an Anna apple tree, you're gonna get apples. A couple of our trees, and maybe Janis can help us with which ones, a couple of our trees are not self-fruitful and they require a cross-pollinator. Janis?
Well, if you look on our site, any tree that we list will have an identifier whether or not it's fruitful or not. If it is needing assistance, it'll be having an S+. That means it's self-fertile, plus it benefits by having a like item or like a similar tree that blooms around the same time. For instance, our plum blends will need an assistance from another plum around there. If they definitely need a cross-pollinator, then there'll be just a plus. So if there's a plus, it needs another tree. If there's an S+, it's self-fertile and it benefits from having another tree.
There you go. Awesome. Thank you for that. And that's something that Janis figured out. Thank you very much, Janis.
Me and my data.
When you do love data. When to plant. You're going to plant your citrus in late September, early October. You're going to plant your deciduous and some of our tropicals, if we get them in January, you get them planted in January. The deciduous, a lot of them come what's called bare root. That means there's no dirt around the soil, around their roots. So you pick them up, you take them home, you get them in the ground. So pre-dig your holes. We cover extensively what to put in the hole in our planting, watering, and fertilizing class. We're giving that next week. But what you put in the hole, here it is in a quickie soundbite. You're going to save 40% of the dirt from the hole. You're going to add 2 bags of planting mix, Farmer Greg's planting mix. Mix that up in a wheelbarrow. You're going to add a planting kit and 4 cups of organic fertilizer. You're going to make all that. You mix all that up. You're going to plant the tree in the middle at the right height and put woody mulch around it. That's what goes in the hole. All right, so now I'm going to jump in and I want to get through these quickly, Janice, because we're actually running short on time. How to kill your fruit trees. This is a class that I used to give all its own. Um, don't do this. Block wall, gravel, dirt. That fig tree on a mound had one drip emitter next to it. So when the water came on, the water ran off the mound and it didn't water the tree. Both these trees died. I have solutions for all of these, just so you know, but all these trees died. These two trees died in the middle of gravel. I watched this poor tree as I was teaching at Arizona State University in 2012 or 13. They planted this one and the one on the left, and it was great when it went in and slowly just tanked. Planting them in gravel is a no-go. Planting them in a lawn, all right, so planting them in gravel like this is a no-go. I have a solution for you. Planting them in a lawn. The lawn, Bermuda grass can outcompete your tree. So what you need to do is you need to get it planted and get the Bermuda grass knocked back, get the tree established, and then the grass can come back. So lawns aren't so great like this. Planting in pots, it's really in the desert, is really a no-go. I can have a conversation with individual people if you're committed to them in pots, but don't do it like this. This is a very hot microclimate on the left, next to a block wall in a small pot on a gravel yard. It's like, what? And then the one on the right, all the little white slips in the background that you see, most of these trees died. It was just too dang hot. For the one on the right, what I would have done is I would have coated that entire backyard with a foot of woody mulch. That would have taken 10 or 20 truckloads from Chip Drop, and just put the Chip Drop in there. It's going to cut down on dust, and over time it's going to make amazing soil, and then you plant your trees. And then drip irrigation, it's not preferred. Drip irrigation is, it doesn't give the trees enough water. So again, we have solutions for all this. Too hot, no shade, too much block wall, need more woody mulch there. I would shade that. You could plant a heat hardy tree like a citrus or grapes or an apple in this area, but it would need to be shaded for the first year or two. Same here. Too many block walls, not enough mulch and shade. Oh, I love this one. So if you haven't been to my class yet, we're going to talk about my 6-6 rule, 6 foot diameter base and 6 inches of woody mulch. This person thought this was 6 foot on the woody mulch, and still too hot. All of the growth on that tree was the rootstock growing. The top peach tree died. So it's not quite there. And I love this. The grass doesn't even grow up against the block wall, and they're planting trees up there. If I was going to plant in a situation like this, I'd pull the tree 4 feet off of the block wall and put your 6 foot diameter, 6 inches of woody mulch in, or just do a basin that runs the length of the wall. And western exposure is really hard. This person sent me this picture in a garden consult. If I'm standing against that wall, I'm looking west. That is a western exposure. They couldn't get anything to grow in this garden bed. I basically told them to abandon the garden bed and just pave it, because nothing's really ever going to grow in that space. What you need is some western shade, and that western shade would be where the pool's at. So there's just no place to put shade in this space. I had a guy about 10 years ago buy 6 trees from me, and he planted them in a garden bed like this. And he called me 6 months later, and or emailed me, he was mad. None of his trees made it. And so, I'm committed to making sure that you get trees that grow. And so through a series of conversations, what we discovered was that it was a western raised bed like this up against a block wall. And I finally said to him, does anything grow in that space? And he finally sheepishly said, no. It's like, well, there you go. Stay away from something like this. String trimmers. I love this picture. This person called me and said, is there any chance this tree is going to make it? String trimmer damage. Just keep the string trimmers away. Okay, so what's the solution? So the solution, plant properly, understand soil, don't skip on soil and nutrient amendments, plant the tree at the correct depth, lots and lots of woody mulch, get your water tools and use them correctly. We cover a lot of this in planting, watering, and fertilizing, and then plant a ground cover. That's going to be really important. And the ground cover is the cowpeas and sweet potatoes that we talk about. So here's my 6-6 rule. This tree was planted in January. It was 3 feet tall. So it's doubled in size. This is a customer that sent me the picture in June. This is a 6-foot diameter basin with 6 inches of woody mulch in it. And the tree has grown 6 feet since they planted it in 6 months. So this is what I'm talking about. Plant the tree right, put the right stuff in the hole, make your basin around the hole. Again, 6 foot, this is more like an 8-foot diameter basin. This is a dwarf bonanza peach. That's the tree in the middle. The tree up to the right of it, that is the rootstock, and that needed to be removed. So they sent me this picture and said, what's going on with this tree? The tree's thriving, but we got this whole other tree coming out. So we instructed them on how to remove the rootstock, because that rootstock would eventually take the tree over. Here's your 6-foot diameter basin in gravel. I would shade this for the first year. And so here's our shade. Janis, we probably need to do a data sheet on this. This is how I want you to shade your tree the first year. Step number 1 is your 6-foot diameter basin with 6 inches of woody mulch. Step number 2 is wrap the tree trunk in tree wrap. We sell the tree wrap. Buy 3, get 1 free. So there's no reason not to have a good supply. You put that tree wrap on it, it'll last 2 years. Once the 2 years are up, it'll disintegrate and the tree will shade itself. The third thing you want to do for shading your tree is planting sweet potatoes or cowpeas. We'll give away cowpeas in January at the lot. I have them. Oh, right here. Janis, can you see me on the screen?
I can.
Yeah, so this is my cowpeas that I grew while I was in Phoenix. I brought them here. I'm going to make them up and bring them back with me in January. So we will give away packets of cowpeas, and I'm really wanting to have people in Phoenix show up that are growing cowpeas, because once you get them planted, they will grow wild in your space. So anybody that grows them, please bring them back to us and we will process them and give them away. And this is a Rio Red cowpea. Apparently it's a name that no longer exists out in the world, but it's a Rio Red cowpea that we grow. It's an urban farm landrace, and they love the heat. They're on the same watering schedule as the tree, and they will just thrive. Plus, you can eat them. You can actually make flour out of these guys, and you can eat the beans when they're small. So there you go. That's our shade. And then, if it's still too hot, you may need to shade it with shade. But we'll talk about that one-on-one in emails. If you do all 3 of those and you still think you need to have shade for them, send me an email.
We have gone further into that in the leveling up class, because the shade has different levels of what you're doing.
Cool. This is a slide I put in every presentation that I do. Your most important job as an urban farmer is to create healthy soil. And you create healthy soil by adding organic matter. So 5 components of healthy soil are dirt, airspace, water, organic matter, and everything that's alive in the soil. You fix dirt by adding organic matter, adding woody mulch, adding the good stuff in the holes. So just know that. And the picture on the left is the white stuff, the white squiggly stuff that's small. That is mycorrhiza. That is, you're doing good. So use lots and lots of leaf matter and woody mulch. And if you're getting mushrooms and mycorrhiza growing in your yard, you are doing something right. And the one on the right was a Mineola tangelo. I didn't quite have 6 foot by 6 foot, but that's more like 4 by 4. And it is a thriving tree in the backyard of the urban farm. Yes, Janice.
I know. I'm thinking you're doing great. It's almost like what you're creating is a blanket for the roots, because the roots you don't want to freeze.
That's brilliant.
But the trunk you definitely need to get nice and chilly.
Yeah, exactly. All right, if you're planting in a lawn, you can build a basin. This particular basin, I put concrete in to keep the grass out. You don't need to do that. This was an experiment back in, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. The first tree I put in there didn't make it. The second tree that I put in there is an apricot tree. And when I was in Phoenix in September, I saw it. And it is huge. It's a huge tree. And we purposely let this one grow taller because I wanted the shade on the front of the house. And you can see Kismet there on the bottom right. Those are cowpeas behind her in the basin around the tree. Here's what it looked like 4 years later. It's almost twice this size again, 2 years later on. So just saying. Here's another lawn solution. Dig a basin, knock the grass back, plant your tree. You weed whack around the edge, not close to the tree. Let the tree get established. And once the tree is established, the grass can grow back. All right, this is what I'm talking about. This particular picture, these next two sets of pictures came from a customer, got trees from us and planted them, covered their entire front yard with 6 inches of woody mulch. This was in January of 2017. This is in June of 2017. You can't even see the trees there in January. Look at them. That is 6 months growth.
That's such a cool picture.
Just saying. This is his backyard. Lots of woody mulch, a fig, an apricot, a peach. This is what they look like 6 months later. This is what we're talking about. If you do what we're telling you to do, it works. I love this one. Earlier this year, you helped me with my dying lime tree. I watched your webcast drastically alter the ground around the tree and bought mulch and fertilizer from us. This is the difference that 4 months, this is Farmer Rick. He sent me this information. That's what in 4 months, that's what happened. This is what's possible. Here's the most revolutionary discovery I've ever made. That's the ground cover. Yes, that is 50 degrees difference. That is the difference between your trees making it and not. Just saying. All right, and there's so many factors about growing trees and healthy trees in the desert. Most of them we have no control over. This is why we offer our guarantee program and education. So our guarantee basically works like this. You take our classes, you do what we tell you to do, take your tree home, get it planted. As soon as there's a problem with the tree, if it's not looking right, and people send me pictures all the time that don't look right, but there's nothing going on. Better safe than sorry. You take a picture, you send it to me. I want to know what's going with that tree in February, March, or April before the hot comes, if the tree's struggling. Once the hot arrives, the moment there's a problem, I want to know about it. And so we're going to be interacting. We're teaming up. So the way our guarantee works is if the tree doesn't make it, we're going to split the cost of a new tree with you the following year, because we're doing everything that we can do to make sure that you know how to grow this tree. And I want you to do everything that we tell you to do so that you grow the tree successfully. And if it doesn't happen. Let's just split the costs and move forward. And the interesting thing is, and I'll ask you this, Janis, cold, because you didn't know that you were going to get this question. How many trees did we replace this year?
4, 5.
That's what I'm talking about. So one of two things is happening. People are doing what we asked them to do, and they're having success with their trees. And sometimes, I mean, I even planted a tree at the urban farm that didn't make it. Sometimes it just doesn't work. That's okay. That's what we're here for. Or what's happening is they're not following the directions, and the trees aren't, the trees aren't thriving, and we never hear back from them. But I think more it's number one. People are following what we're telling them to do. Yeah. Taking ownership of a tree is not just about paying for the tree. It's a living plant and needs to be treated as such. It needs to be fed daily. You don't have to physically feed the tree daily, but you need to make sure on a month-over-month basis that that tree has nutrition. I talked to a guy yesterday. He said, I put worm castings on it every 6 months. Didn't even put granular fertilizer on it every 6 months, just worm casting once every 6 months. It's not enough, especially in the desert.
You need to look at our nutrition schedule. It is critical that you do level 1, absolutely do level 1, granular fertilizer 4 times a year. And then if you really want to be able to say that you're doing a good job, you're going to go to level 2. When you're ready for that extra production and you're ready for all the extra fruit, then you can go to level 3. But if you don't do level 1, your tree's not going to survive. If you don't do level 2, then you're probably not going to get that much fruit.
That's really important, especially with the hot summers. We've had like 4 of the hottest summers of all time.
No, I don't think we're done
in Phoenix, and it's shown on trees.
Yeah, our trees, you can see it around the valley. You can see it wherever you live, that there's a definite climate change.
Exactly. And the people that are following this are having trees thrive. Just saying. All right. Need some help? This is cool. I do garden consults with people. They're virtual garden consults. And you will get so much information out of me in an hour on the phone doing a garden consult. If you're interested, Janis can put the
I'm doing it right now.
Thank you. Thank you. And then we have our, there we go. We have our early bird bundles. The early bird bundles disappear the first weekend of November. These are screaming prices on trees. In fact, interestingly, Janis,
what?
I checked out Peaceful Valley. They're a grower, they're a retailer in California, and they sell Dave Wilson trees. Their trees are more expensive. Their single trees are more expensive than our bundled trees.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Right. And so these bundles are screaming deals. And remember, the Peaceful Valley trees, none of them are on the right rootstock, and none of them, most of them aren't climate appropriate for the low desert. Just saying, just so you know.
See, again, we're telling you which questions to ask. What is the rootstock? When is this variety going to be ripening? And what are the chill hours?
Yep.
Crucial questions for your area.
Amen to that. And so our entire program is designed for the past 23 years to bring in fruit trees that produce here. They're proven fruit trees in the desert. If you do what we tell you, you're going to have fruit on them in 3 years. And we have the supplies for you. We have the technology to be able to teach you, like tonight, teach you how to be successful with them. Our early bird program expires like the first week of November. That's when you're going to get your best pricing and best selection. We're already running low on trees. I had somebody ask about goji berries today, and I think we're pretty much out of them.
There's a few of them that we're starting to run out already. Yeah.
So just, get your order in now if you're going to order trees from us. The way our program works is You pre-order trees, and then we have a pop-up nursery in January where you come and pick up your deciduous trees. We did our pop-up nursery in September for citrus. So we're going to only be open about 9 or 10 days in January. So we do all the education up front. And then the trees come in the first week of January. We get them prepped for you. And then you come and get them in the ground. That's the way our program works. And I've been doing it this way since 1999. All right, your next step are take our other classes. For sure, you want to take the planting, watering, and fertilizing class. We have a pop-up nursery for you to pick up supplies from us, soils, worm castings, and the such in November 19th, Janice?
November 19th is our general store pop-up again,
Yep.
and you can pick up your mulch, you can pick up your soil. Raymond and I will be there for sure to help answer questions as to.
Mm-hmm. And it's a really, 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 really good idea to pre-dig your tree holes.
Yes, because then you can do a perk test.
Yep. Oh, now you brought it up. What's a perk test?
A perk test, percolation through the soil is so important. So if you want to find out how fast the water is draining through your soil, this could save you some headaches. I speak from experience. I bought a brand new property, and when I did my trees, I did not do the perk test, planted a whole bunch of trees, found out at the end of that day when it started to rain that we hadn't done what we were supposed to do, and all my trees were drowning. So we had to quickly pull them out of the ground and start doing some remediation for my property. So perk test, important. Do it early, save yourself some hassle.
There you go. There you go. So pre-dig your tree holes. You can actually pre-dig your tree holes and put soil in them and mulch in them if you want to go that far. I think, let's see, what do we got here? Oh, that's our ultimate goal. So about 5 or 6 years ago, this lady sent me that picture in the top left, and she said, "Oh my God, I got fruit and they're so amazing." Like, yeah, exactly. So I had recently had a experience, Janice. I thought, I'm going to buy some peaches.
Yeah, because you're out there, you don't have peach trees yet.
I don't have peach trees yet. And they were the horriblest, awfulest peaches.
You were so spoiled.
I am so spoiled. I told Heidi, I said, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to eat a peach again. Because there is the question about whether we're going to be able to grow peaches here. But I'll figure it out. The bottom picture is mid-pride peaches and Anna and Dorset golden apples. Those are
On your
probably Anna
counter.
apples on my counter at the urban farm. That counter is no longer there, by the way. I saw the house. The new owners have done an absolutely amazing job to the inside of the house.
They're making it their
Put a new
home.
kitchen in. Yeah, exactly. So, all right, there we go. I think that's it.
All right, let's go through. We just have a few questions and some suggestions. Alicia's been sending us some information that we can do some research on.
Michelle O, where do you live? She says, I live outside of Maricopa
She lives in
County.
Peoria.
She lives in Peoria?
You're in
Michelle.
Maricopa County, darling.
Oh yeah. Yeah, if
I mean,
if you live in, basically, if you live in the low desert, let's say Fountain Hills, Cave Creek, Carefree, Lake Pleasant, south, that's your 300 hours of chill.
You know, I have spent some time looking online to try and find a chill hour map or anything. They're very generic. So what you're looking at when you look online is a list of, or a kind of a wavy map. Your own particular microclimate can change significantly. So you're kind of got a ballpark area. The healthier and the more green space you create, the better your ecosystem is going to be for your plants.
Let's see here. And Alicia.
Except she has a place in Overgard, she says.
Overgard. So for that, there are 2 documents with the cooperative extension in Arizona. One is a 3,500 foot elevation to 6,000 foot elevation fruit tree guide. And one is a 6,000 foot elevation and higher fruit tree guide. So if you can't find them, send me an email. I'll send them to you. There's also a nonprofit. Would you look this up real quick, Janice, called Leaf in Arizona? We're one of the contributors to it.
Leaf?
Leaf.
I'm sorry. If I type in Leaf, I've got a million things.
A Leaf Organization, Arizona fruit trees. And Alicia says, any thoughts on using trellis for fruit trees? Yeah, grow them on a trellis. Absolutely. You can knock yourself out. Have fun.
Oh, I got it. Okay. Here it is. It's leafnetworkaz.org.
There you go. Alicia says, last week there was a worldwide permaculture water summit. Wasn't it amazing? I watched some of it, and yeah, it's amazing. All right, let's see. Michelle O says, so many questions. Can I plant both citrus and deciduous trees in hedgerows? Yes, you can, absolutely. If you have flood irrigation and plant citrus and deciduous trees, do you plant them on a mound? Yes-ish. Yeah.
Yes-ish.
How do you, so the planting them on the mound is to keep the woody mulch from piling up around the trunk. But you don't want to just put piles of woody mulch around the trunk. A little bit's not going to hurt it. You have to do some things. So the other question is, how do you keep woody mulch from moving around with the flood irrigation? Great question. I used blocks and urbanite, which is broken up concrete. And if you remember the picture with my dog in it, that was a woody mulch basin. So you have to do some work. One of the Hubbards, the Hubbard Swim School in the Phoenix metropolitan area, took a whole section of their flood irrigated backyard and put a berm around it and planted the trees inside the bermed area and filled it with woody mulch. And so the water would come into the area only one way in, and when it was full, it was full. So there you go.
Yeah, one of the nice things is that if you do a whole section and you have wood chips in that entire area, then you don't worry about it washing away because it's just going in that whole section.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, and Alicia, you sent me an email for patio farming, and I just remembered that. I get so many emails and I missed that. I will actually, if you wouldn't mind, send it to me again and put urgent in the subject line.
Alicia, if you were going to the seat up, I would really like to put a name to face. Can you say hello to me when you show up and remind me who you are? I'd like to see you there.
Actually, I think Alicia doesn't live in the.
No.
I think I remember seeing along the way. Tell me, Alicia, do you live in the Phoenix metropolitan area? If you do, I want to meet you too. My gosh, you're such a wealth of information. So, all right, Miss Janis, it is time for dinner for me. It is 9 o'clock here.
Yeah.
And yes,
that's a little late.
Yes, I will be at the Great American Seat Up this year. I'm flying in the week of. So
he just got it scheduled. So yay, we all get to benefit from having Greg there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you're just after my muscles.
If you're in the West Side, this Saturday, there is a little pop-up general store, a small one, but we'll be able to answer questions. Email me if you're interested. It's over in Litchfield Park. Then coming up is the Seat Up on the 4th and the 5th. And then we're having the pop-up general store on the 19th. And we're the Urban Farm. We just don't stop.
Ooh, what are we doing? We have something that we just created today. Or yesterday.
Are you going to announce it already?
Look for something special on the 12th.
Yeah, there you go.
November 12th, Saturday, November 12th.
Let me get some stuff set up first, and then we'll announce it.
All right, cool.
All right.
It'll be an online Zoom event. And
we'll get
Saturday's
you set up.
the 12th.
Right. We'll send out an email. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Have fun. Thanks.
Bye-bye.